know when God's grace runs out? And what are some additional scriptures that focus on grace and mercy?
Okay, first one, and I'm going to get you guys, I can email you a list of scriptures because I can't name a bunch of them off the top of my head. But to answer your first question, how do we know when God's grace runs out? I know I have about 400 videos on YouTube, right? I can pinpoint videos where God wasn't with me. And I could point to you videos where God was with me. God's grace, and let me make sure I make this plain, is I'm not saying that God's grace is not sufficient for your salvation. It is. His grace was you saved. But the devil, like I always says, he doesn't care about your salvation. He cares about your productivity. Meaning that he knows procrastination is the thief of opportunity. He knows success is when preparation meets opportunity. So if God has this amount of opportunity or grace for you, grace is unmerited favor. Grace is like, I've given you the mind, the energy, the mobility. I've given you the ability to get it done. What the devil understands, like, oh, shoot, man, this girl's been going to church. She's been filling herself with the word. He's been fasting and praying. How can we stop him now? If we stop him now, then I dilute his productivity, meaning that if he goes a certain amount of time, the grace runs out. All of us have a job, hopefully. If we don't, God's going to bless you with one, hopefully soon. If a person blesses me with a job opportunity, graciously gives me a job, I'm over there crying like, God, where's my job, Lord? And if someone says, here's a job, and I'm like, oh, man, thank you, Lord. But I show up late. I leave early. I steal staplers and tape. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I take 2-hour lunch breaks. You see what I'm saying? I'm arguing with folk. I'm slapping folk. You go back into the office, you get one pink slip. Hey, man, yo, Howard, chill, yo. Man, you tripping, bro. Chill. Right? Howard says, okay, I hear you, but goes back again. Does the same stuff. What's going to happen to Howard? He gets fired. God looks at us the same. There are so many preachers in the world that God has fired already. There are so many preachers that still sounds good, can orate beyond measure, can do all great things, but God is fired. God is no longer with them. I don't care about presentation ability. I don't care if I know all the scriptures. I do not care. I want his power. The difference between minister A and minister B is one is good at speaking and one has power. I'd rather be a man that can only say half of the alphabet but have God's power than to be a man who knows every memory verse, every vocab word, and not have God. And Paul warns you about them. He says, all I want to know is Christ and him crucified. Meaning, I just want to know his character, and I appreciate him being crucified for my sins. That keeps me humbled. You can't get power out here. I told a dude in Oklahoma. Dude was a big viner. He was very successful. All vines. He was very successful. He found me online. He said, Josh, I'm about to speak at a big conference. You never know me. This dude got 200-some thousand followers on Twitter. This dude's pretty big. The dude tweets me and says, man, can we talk? I said, all right, bro, I got you, man. Cool. He was like, Josh, how can I speak like you? I said, you got one or two choices. You can choose number one and work on your presentation skills, or number two, you can be on your knees and ask God for power. If you choose presentation, work on your message 4 or 5 times a day. Master that. But I tell you, it starts on your knees. If you want to stand before anyone, if you want to do exploits for God, it starts on your knees. If you want the power, go to God with a genuine heart. But if you want to be an orator and be presentive and do all those different things, you're not going to survive. And so that's it for that question.